All right, what's up, guys? My name is Basil Khan, and I'm a e-commerce entrepreneur. I started with dropshipping. I'm going to explain it a bit, but it's basically a business model where you don't hold stock, you just do the marketing, but the stock comes from directly from a warehouse in China or the United States. It depends on where you want to do it. So that's what I started with, and now I'm, building my own brands. Trying to scale it up. And that's about it.
So when did you get introduced to e-commerce and dropshipping? Like, was it something that you kind of discovered, or like did you try other
Yeah.
things before and it kind of led up to dropshipping and stuff like that?
So honestly, like my story was the actual time I got introduced to dropshipping was me just chilling on the bed, just like randomly watching Netflix, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just do something productive, and I just looked up like online businesses, and like I don't have that exact memory of when I discovered it, but I just looked into dropshipping, and then I was like, this seems like a reasonable business model. This was 2018, so about 2 years ago. At the time I was video editing, just like making some YouTube stuff, not really doing much apart from like just college and all that.
Mhm.
But I found this super interesting, and the super interesting would be the word to use, because I was like super excited to learn all this stuff, and then apply all of these strategies the big businesses use, and then start something from scratch. So I got like super addicted to like building Shopify stores at first. The first few days, I was just like building stores nonstop. And the problem is when you're starting, this is not a problem, but more so it's like something that happens to every beginner. You're like, you face something called the shiny object syndrome, where you just like jump on new ideas like real quickly. You don't think it through, you just jump on them just to see where it goes. So for me, like the first 3 or 4 days, I just, sat in my room. This was spring break of college. So I sat in my room and, you know, worked like 12 to 15 hours, just like building random stores. And then I would be like, this is a dumb product after I just built the store. And then I would just cancel that and start something else. So that's how I basically got introduced to it. And then, it just got more and more addicted, you know.
Yeah. So were you always like a business type of person, or were you like you just want to be productive, do something like with your time?
So when I think of it, I'm like the kind of person that's like, I get an adrenaline rush from doing something and then succeeding in it.
Hmm.
So I've never been like a kind of person that is like naturally smart. Like, I don't study, maybe 1 hour and then get A's. But I've always like, worked for my grades and, built up everything. Like it just gives me adrenaline rush just to be the best at what I do.
Hmm.
So in high school, this was high school, and then I just wanted to get into like the best colleges. So I just did some extracurriculars while in high school, just to get that adrenaline rush in a way, and then achieve my goal. Um, but when I came to college, like I didn't really like the idea of me, spending 4 years working my ass off, and then working for someone else for like maybe like 50, 60, 70 grand as a starting salary. Like just didn't make sense to me, because I think I'm a pretty high maintenance person, so
Hmm.
it couldn't support my lifestyle. So
Yeah.
I um I looked into other ways just to spend my time, because in college you have decent amount of time just to do extra things. Some
Hmm.
people choose to join clubs and all that, but for me, I just wanted to do something different. So that's why like I got attracted to it. So I've never been like an entrepreneur kind of person, but I've always been the kind of guy that jumps into new ideas and just tries to succeed in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were building like different stores, were you like kind of testing them to see like you did like multiple like I think there's like an expression where you throw like several things on the wall and you see what sticks. Like
Yeah.
do that and see which one worked, or was it like you know what this product isn't a good idea? You kind of like were thinking overthinking your process too much, and then you kind of just like quit that store and then proceeded with the next one.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, because when you start, like a lot of beginners, I tell them, you know, it's more about how you present the product than the actual like stuff like store names and all that, because that stuff matters when you're dealing in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, right? When you start, you have to take baby steps. Like recommend you focus on like just the structure and all that. So for me, I would just focus on stupid stuff like, the logo placement and all that stuff, and overall a good aesthetic is good, but it's not the highest ROI in the business. So when I started, I was just focusing on the wrong stuff. And, I got through that stage really quickly because I was spending a lot of time. Like I had a break. So I was spending like 12 to 16 hours, like, sleepless nights just working on it. Not because, I wanted to make money, but it was just so exciting to me, like just
Yeah.
to learn about this stuff. And so after building a couple of stores, the first store, it was like a general store. I think the thing is like, I kind of fried my brain during that period, so I don't remember much from when I started. But the first store I made was a general store. I just got bored of it. I don't know why. Like I just got bored of it, and then I started another store, and then I launched my first like actual product in that store, and that's when I first got the taste of dropshipping. So after making the store, I launched some ads, and the first mm, few weeks or so, it was break even. Um, and then one day, out of nowhere, like my ROAS just jumped to like a 3 or 4, which means for every dollar I spent on ads, I got like $3 or $4 back. So my ROAS was 3 or 4. And then I made like $500 in sales that day. And it was just crazy for me. And that was when, I was like, all of these people on YouTube, they're not, it's not like a scam. It's not like a big scam where everyone's in on it and just trying to scam like noobs. It's really legit.
Wait, so hold
And
on. Wait, so how long did it take you to get to that $500 sell mark?
so the exact timeline, I would say it was about 3 weeks or so.
3 weeks in? Oh, you did a Facebook ads, like Facebook, Instagram ads?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram ads. That's what I started with.
And did you do it like, so like when you made the ads, like did you use like tools? Because I think there's like a certain tool where like they kind of make the ad for you and the copy, or did you have the product in your hand and you actually made the whole ad like with like say like Adobe Premiere, for example? I don't know.
Yeah, so I used the iMovie, and I didn't have like a tool. I used content from AliExpress. Like I just,
Oh, okay,
got
yeah.
it from there because they usually know what's going on in the US market. So
Okay.
when a new product comes out and they see some potential, they'll usually give you content to upload. Like they'll make like white background photos. They'll make like really good videos. These days I've seen like really professional videos coming from directly from China
Mhm.
because they know that Americans are going to be drop shipping this thing,
Yeah.
and they just want to make it as easy for you to run ads and make sales so they can sell more.
Yeah.
So a lot of these OG factories that copy the item or make their own items, they usually have like really high quality content to go with it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, like you have access to it, and then thousands of other people have
Oh,
access to it.
mhm.
So it's always good to change things up. Now I just use strictly like custom content,
Yeah.
but before this I used to use my first store, I used AliExpress content.
So like describe that feeling when you like the first 3 weeks nothing happened and then out of nowhere you said that for that one day you got $500 worth of like in revenue, right?
Yeah,
What was that feeling like when you saw your notifications
dude,
on?
the feeling was crazy. I just like, I remember I just called my friends and my mom. I was like, yo, this is kind of legit, like I knew, like at the back of my mind, I knew this was legit, but this just gave me that extra drive because it's all logical, right? Like nobody, like all these big brands, they're not selling stuff just to, it's not a scam. Like all of these big brands, they're selling stuff just to make money, right?
Mhm.
So as a business model, it works. It's just like people teaching the business model aren't giving you the full picture, and that's fine because you're a beginner, you can't process a lot of info. But a lot of beginners, I tell them, at the start, you're going to have no compass, you're going to have no direction. But once you find someone that you think is slightly legit, um, just, stick to them, watch all their content, follow their strategy, and then move to something else because there's so many ways to do it. But to answer your question, that feeling was, I mean, it was, I was like super happy and excited, but that day something crazy happened. So apparently for some reason my Facebook account got banned.
Really?
Like,
That same
yeah,
day?
yeah, same day. I think it was, I think it was because Yeah, for some reason, yeah, my card just got declined for some reason. So after that, the next day I finally fixed it. I was like, yo, let's see the money pour in. And the next day it was just like there were no sales coming in. And that just kind of made me like super uneasy and kind of mad because like I was going so well. And if I just let it run, I would be getting the sales. Because now that I look at it, back then, Facebook algo works in a way where it places you, when you run ads, it places your ad in a tub of people. So like they take all of their audience and they divide them into small groups of people, and they place your ad into a certain group, right? So that day, my ad was in the right group of people. Like my buyers were there, right there, where my ad was running. So the next day, when the ad stopped running and they started running it again, it got placed in another audience, which didn't convert that well. So after that, I lost like $1,500 or $2,000, and
Really?
yeah, I kind of went broke for a bit. So I stopped running ads, but I knew like that one win I got that just gave me motivation to continue. I knew this wasn't a scam, and there was ways to like increase my chance of success. I just needed to learn more.
Wait, so you lost that money because the ads weren't converting? Like you weren't getting any conversions on your sales?
Yeah, so I was getting so when you start, yeah, I wasn't getting too many sales. I was getting like a 1 ROAS or a 0.79 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these gurus would preach, collect more data, uh, which for a beginner, you don't understand what that means because you don't understand the full scope of how Facebook works. So what I did was I was just waiting for my ads to like magically get profitable one day, which
Yeah.
is a really bad thing to do as a beginner.
No, wait, now was your product like, what was like the demographic, like what age group? Because whenever I think like of like selling like products on Facebook, I always think like you need to sell it to someone who's like 20, between 24 and like 60 years old, because the young guys, Gen Z or even millennials are not going to really be on Facebook unless you do Facebook/Instagram ads. I don't know if you just did Facebook ads.
Yeah, so my demographic was in the beauty niche. Like it
Oh,
was like 20. It was actually like 30, 25 to 52.
okay.
So there was a good portion of Instagram users that watched my ad and bought from there, and a good portion of Facebook users too, because I was running on both platforms.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So like when you, so that $500 day, right, went really well, obviously. And then the days after you took losses, you lost money, but you're still
Yeah.
like, you weren't discouraged. Now, how long did it take you to get like, say, consistent sales, and like for things to really like kick off?
Right. So in that time, like there, I don't know. I had some issue with my bank account at that time, so I actually quit dropshipping for. I mean, I didn't quit, but I quit like running ads for six months ish, and
Mhm.
I just focused on learning. Like I was just
Yeah.
learn from my old experience, look through my ad account, just see where I spent the money, how I could have improved it, and just like learn from that by watching like all of these YouTube videos. So 6 months later, I started again, and then again, the thing is like you have to combine learning with actual experience. So then I had a lot of knowledge, but I didn't have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was the second month I was much better off, but then again some issue came through like with my the credit card I was using or the bank account I was using. So I had to stop again because I did like the second time was crazy. I did like 5 grand in 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, so I was profitable. This was about a year after, or not 6 months, about a year after my first time. So what I did was this was right before the start of Corona. I think it was like Q4 of 2019.
Hmm.
So I did pretty well back then. So
So
in the
private
meantime,
label,
yeah.
did you private label your cosmetic or beauty product?
So at the start, I was just drop shipping, strictly drop shipping. And the thing is,
Okay.
like, I didn't know much. I would just basically take the order, put it into AliExpress myself. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what Oberlo was. Like
Oh
Oberlo is a software that automates, doing that for you. So what I would do is I would take every order at the end of the day and just like, type it into
yeah.
AliExpress.
Damn.
Um,
It's a learning experience though.
exactly. It's at the end of the day, like I tell everyone, entrepreneurship is 90% a mind game and 10% consistent effort. Like, you know, it's not hard to put in consistent effort, even if you do like 1 hour every day. But the thing is, like 1 hour every day, just forcing yourself to do that without seeing any results, that's the hard part, you know? Like 1 hour of learning every day isn't that bad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically, then I started again. We did some crazy amount, like 5K in sales, and then I took a step back. In the middle, I tried to like build like a backup because I knew drop shipping required some amount of money. Like it wasn't cheap. So what I did was, I was really good at building like stores. And one day I was in this Facebook group and just chilling. I built some stores, shared it on there just to get people's feedbacks. This was when I wasn't running ads, and some people just contacted me and were like, your stores look crazy nice. Can you build us a store?
Like the aesthetics of
So
it, or like, right?
yeah, the aesthetics, yeah, because like now I look at it, it's kind of trash because like my structure wasn't converting. Like
Yeah,
the store looks really nice, but like the structure has to convert.
yeah.
So these people, they asked me to make them a store, and that's when I first built a store. It was like I got like $160 for that store, and that was like, oh, that's another way to make
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
So after that, I looked into like starting an agency, did some cold outreach, got my first brand on board, and then got some referrals, and I started making like stores for people, like e-commerce brands. They weren't like huge brands, but more like like non-drop shipping brands where people had their own product they wanted to sell, but they needed a nice store for it. But they couldn't pay these big companies like 5 grand, 6 grand
Oh
for like
yeah.
a professional store. So that's where I would come in and build them like a nice store, and then give them some Facebook ads info.
So you have two
Um,
businesses right now. You have your agency and you have your drop shipping stores.
so I actually stopped running my agency because that was my second mistake. Like when I built like a chunk of money as a backup, I was like, I'm gonna go all in on this e-commerce thing because at the time, like I wasn't good at outsourcing things, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't good at giving all the menial tasks to other people because I was like, building a store is my skill. I can't really give it teach other people to do it because they won't be good enough,
Yeah.
But now when I look back at it, it's a good way to build a side income, and it's better to outsource it than to just stop it entirely. So when I started e-commerce, I actually quit the agency, like fired all my clients, and I was like, I'm gonna go all in on this e-commerce thing because by that time I was sure that it was working.
Yeah, I think a good
Uh,
point to bring up is that like if you're just kind of like starting and you have like two things that you're working on simultaneously, it's gonna be really hard to scale both up. And I always feel like it's good to start your second business once the first one is like established.
right, exactly. Like I wasn't trying to scale it. Like my goal as an agency was just to build like a backup for my e-commerce business because it's not just about starting the business, it's about the cash flow too. Like I wanted to make some serious money out of e-commerce, and you need a lot of cash flow for that because it's a recurring like cash flow system where you get sales, the sales go to your Stripe bank account through Stripe, which takes 3 or 4 days. But in my position, when you're doing like 4 or 5K, 6K, sometimes 10K days, right? You need like a good cash flow in the back end just to keep your ads running.
So do you
So
have to like rely like on the ads for the conversions? Like, is it like, do you have your stores or your store to the point where like you get organic sales that you don't need your Facebook or Instagram ads, or you're not there yet?
yeah, I mean, like I don't have the exact like analytics in place to see where the organic sales are coming from,
Hmm.
but usually when you stop running ads for a couple of, it depends on how much you scale your store, right? If you scale your store to let's say like mid six figures, like let's say 400K, 500K, you're going to be getting 2 grand in sales like every month organically, even if you stop the ads. That's because a lot of these people they share the ad to other people,
Hmm.
and after you stop running the ad, they might see it and they might buy it then,
Yeah.
and they might share it on other platforms too. Like you don't know, it's like a whole network thing. So there's usually like a lot of organic sales coming through, but it's after you've scaled it and then you scaled it down.
Hmm. And so like do you like also try to build, because before we like before you were talking about how like Amazon has like 60%
Yeah,
of the market, the e-commerce market, right? And you can't
right.
really build a brand within Amazon, right? So now that you have your own e-commerce store, do you kind of like really focus on the brand, like have like different social media platforms around it, or what?
Oh, definitely, dude. Like I've the past, even now in the past 6 months, I've just been focused on building like long-lasting brands. The thing is, for me as an experienced like dropshipper slash e-commerce entrepreneur, the luster of this business just it's gone now. Like I don't feel that excited anymore to start up a new business and see results instantly because I know what to expect in the timeline. Like I know where it has to be in a month, where it has to be in 2 months, how much money is losing me in 6 months, and then how much profits making me in 6 months. Like I know all these numbers and what to expect. So for me, it's not like a quick thing where I just build an ugly store and just throw ads at it and then try to get sales from that. Because that's what happens when you're starting out. You're just like super excited, and you have to keep that in check if you're building an actual brand because you have to like focus on all platforms instead of like just one. So that's what I'm doing right now, and we're actually like private labeling, and we're actually making modifications to the product itself.
Oh wow.
So we drop ship it, or sometimes we get a small quantity of the product from China. We sell that, and then we ask the customer for their feedback. So we're like, what could be better? Can the manual be better? Can you know the product be better? Can it be higher quality? And then we relay all of the top feedback to back to the factory, and they add it for our custom product. So that's
You're
what we do
investing,
now.
right? You're investing in like putting all your money or a good amount of money back into your business, right?
Right, yeah, exactly, because like yeah, if you want it to scale, you have to like build the moat around your business. You have to try to get limit competition as much as you can, and there are quite a few ways of doing that. The biggest is like building a brand,
Mhm.
building a product or getting a product that no one else can get.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing these days. And I have a few, two or three brands in the works right now. But at the same time, like I'm kind of still like a big nerd about drop shipping. So I just, I find a cool product, I might just sell it using just drop shipping, just to, get rid of that shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. So right now you have like that one beauty product brand that you have, the bread and butter, but you also have like other businesses that you're.
Oh, so I stopped running that brand. Basically, the product was, the product was this. So this was in from the UK, and it was this automatic like brush cleaner.
Hmm.
So basically, you attach your brush to the product and then you put it in a bowl, and it was like pretty cool product. But the thing is, I stopped selling it after the second time the account got the account got like banned because I just didn't want to give the same domain and IP to Facebook, so I had to stop selling it because then Facebook would ban it again. Like there's this thing with Facebook where it just flags your domain. So I switched to other products. But yeah, that was like my start. That was like the first product I sold.
So was that like a huge disappointment because that like were you how many like how much revenue were you raking in with that one store
Yeah, so that was like a start. So I think a total of like maybe 12 to 15 grand I did on that store in revenue.
in a matter of like how many months?
That was so I the first time I did it was like $3,000 in revenue, and then I ran it again after like a year,
Hmm.
and we did like another 9 grand in revenue in like
So you guys increased.
7 days. Yeah.
So was it a huge disappointment, like because you had to like kind of start over and build that momentum back?
Yeah, at the time it was like a crazy big disappointment, but at the same time, like I wasn't mad because like, I knew it can be done again and again. Like it just made like the thing is for an entrepreneur, more than the idea itself, it's the confidence in the idea to make it work. So for me, when I got that confidence after making that first store, I was like, damn, I can really make this work, and I can make this work for like 1,000 other products, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, you know what, too bad. This one got flagged. Let me just try another one. And I took some time off because obviously I was frustrated. Went on a trip, and then when I got back, like a few months later, I actually got back into it. at the time I was actually scaling my agency. You know, I was trying to build like a nice chunk of money just for my cash flow. So I didn't mind that loss too much. It was frustrating, but it wasn't like that big of a deal.
Hmm. And during that time, were you like doing research on what type of products you wanted to sell or what kind of brand you wanted to make?
Yeah, so I was more on the brand thing. Like I just wanted to build like one like sustainable long-term brand and a few drop shipping stores. But I didn't want to put all my money, all my eggs in one basket, like
Yeah.
and throw all my effort on one brand. So what I did was, I was like, you know, I'm not. Facebook is a crazy complicated machine. Like there's very simple strategies, but if you want to master it, like you have to spend a lot of money. Like you have to spend a lot of money. So I wasn't at that time even, you know, even though I made like a good chunk of revenue. I wasn't as profitable as I wanted to be. You know,
Hmm.
I was barely breaking even or maybe making like a small loss.
And do you think you need to spend a lot on Facebook to get that data and really analyze it to see, okay, how can we reiterate and then run these ads again
Yeah.
to get profitable?
So the thing is like there's two ways to get better at Facebook. Either invest a lot of your time or invest a lot of money, you know? Like if you don't have the money, you invest your time. If you don't have time, you invest the money. Because, you know, for me, like at the start, I was I had no compass, right?
Mhm.
So I was researching maybe like 9 to 12 hours a day, just like going through all of these YouTubers. Like I've watched every YouTuber you can think of that
Who's
has
the
like
main guy?
dropshipping.
Who's that one guy you're like, okay, this YouTuber, I'm gonna follow him. Let's do it.
So that has happened so many times. There's like I would recommend watching this guy called I mean Viram Ecom is a good YouTuber. There's this guy called Nate Schmidt. But the thing is, like Nate doesn't go into like a lot of the small things like how to start a campaign and all that. But you can find that on my TikTok. Like I made that video. A lot of my TikTok is more for beginners, just to
Mhm.
give them that right compass, like just to give them the right guidance at the start, so they don't, you know, chase fake gurus that give them like outdated strategies that don't work anymore. Um, so yeah, so these two I would say are my top. I still watch their videos. But Gabriel Saint Germain is another good one. I think yeah, he was like the guy I was like, damn, this guy knows his stuff, you know. So I wouldn't chase like too many of these random YouTubers that are popping up because you know you have to vet them before you follow their advice, or they can cost you a lot of money. And a lot of the time they're selling you their course, which as long as it's full of like the right amount of information, you know, it's fine. But like a lot of the time their courses are super lacking, you know, they're not really worth it. And you can spend your money much better just running the ads than, you know,
Yeah.
following their advice.
So I want to hear like your opinion on this, and not that it's a bad thing. Like I personally feel that a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of people say doing like drop shipping or e-commerce or any sort of service, right? Relating to
Yeah.
like entrepreneurial services and businesses. And they kind of like make their business and then they create a course. And then of course there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing or they're fakes. And so you don't really know who's legit or not. And like
Right.
in your opinion, like do you think that a lot of people in this like e-commerce space is really doing that, like just creating stores and then basically like I guess faking it or not really showing true results to sell their courses.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone's
Like
selling their courses now.
I mean, a good way I can tell you guys. I mean, a good way to, you know, differentiate between the legit dropshippers and the fake ones is how they present the business to you. Like a lot of these people, like you see the fake gurus, what they'll do is they'll show you a lifestyle more than the business. Like they'll have these Lambos and all that stuff, you know, and they're selling you on the lifestyle. And you know, the lifestyle is a lot more enticing than the actual potential of making money because they show you what you can buy with that money.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I mean, I'm not saying like all of these guys aren't legit, but their tactics, I don't like them. And 60 or 70 or 80% of the time, you're going to find their courses lacking because they're made for uh, the demographics that are learning just the basics, right? And you can find a ton of information for free on YouTube instead of like, you know, buying a course for the basics. But if you want to get into like the more advanced stuff, like, you know, analyzing and once you have a successful store, if you want to repeat that and you want to learn how to repeat the results you got initially, because sometimes it's lucky too. Like for me, I was making that $500 a day, but that's because Facebook gave me the right pocket of audience, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to learn to repeat that, it's good to have like a detailed course. But again, you have to find someone, you have to watch all of their videos, you have to like follow their journey, and then you have to vet it yourself to see if they're worth it.
Yeah.
But 90% of the time, the people that are selling you a lifestyle, they're not going to be as good as you think they are.
Yeah. And like I feel like the people who are like legit, and then people who take their courses and then they fail like within the first couple of weeks, they might be like, oh, like this guy isn't legit. I didn't make any money. And you're never gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
it right unless you're extremely fortunate to get it right the first time and just like pop off and make up like money, right? You're always
Exactly.
gonna fail, and like you said, as long as you persist and you learn, take action, and you learn from your mistakes, or kind of just learn new things every day, apply that new knowledge into your business, into your craft. And I think over time, you're going to see results. I think it's just going through that. I think in the beginning, you're always going to lose money. You're not going to see results, and it's going to be frustrating. But in the end, if you stick long enough, then I think you'll see some growth.
Definitely. That's like, I mean, that's like the key to success, just like not giving up, That's like the key to, like, a lot of people think you need talent and you need, extra IQ points, but that's not really true, Like, you can keep, I mean, you don't have to be like, if you want to speed up your results, obviously you have to learn from your mistakes as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if you're working hard and consistently, the time frame might be different for everyone. Like, some people might get success in 2 years, some of them might get success in 5 years, but eventually you're gonna get it anyway. Like, it's not rocket science. But the thing is, like, I'm not gonna say it's easy. Like, just like failing on drop shipping and then coming back and trying something new the next day, because it's hard. But the thing is, as I said before, like 90% of it is like a mind games
Yeah.
than rather than effort.
So do you have like what's your goal? Like, do you want to like really increase your knowledge and like conversions and like Facebook ads to like get more sales? Or do you kind of want to build like a huge brand, think long term, so that you don't really have to rely on the ads, and you kind of like can rely on the organic sort of sales? Like what approach are you taking? Or
Yeah,
do
so I would say it's more of the latter for me because I've been following Ben Francis. I don't know if you guys
I've
know
heard
who
of
that
it,
is.
yes.
Yeah, so he's the CEO and owner, founder of Gymshark,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been like following his journey for about a year or two now. Like, ever since he started, he has a YouTube channel, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since he started that, I've been following his journey. And the thing is, like, Gymshark, 86% of their revenue comes from like organic searches. So like their branding, their sponsorships, and all that. At large scale, Facebook isn't really sustainable to rely on heavily. I mean, paid media can always scale you up to like 7, 8 figures, you know. But if you want to go above 8 figures, or even if you want to reach 8 figures, you need to have a large chunk of that, maybe 50% of that, come from organic sales.
Yeah. I think with
Because
Gymshark,
word of
a lot of
yeah.
influencer marketing, but I think a lot of it is now organic reach. But I think they
I
still.
mean, influencer marketing, and so what they do is influencer marketing is also counted. Like, so what they're doing is sponsorships. They're doing a lot of sponsorships, like
Yeah.
long-term sponsorships. So that's like where a majority of it's coming from. And the thing is, like, they're very tactical in the people they sponsor. So they've built this like whole culture around fitness. Like, you'll see everyone that's like not a meathead, but a guy that goes to the gym rocking a Gymshark. So they've built that culture. Like, every other big brand you see,
I feel like they're like the
yeah.
Nike of like working out, like gyms.
Oh, definitely. Like, every brand you see, Nike, Google, all of these big brands, you see them. They've built the culture. It's not a business or a community anymore. It's like an actual culture, and
Yeah.
that's just done through sheer strategic collaborations, or being in business for a long time, which a lot of businessmen can't do because they're not following the right way to do it. They're not building the right foundations.
Mm-hmm. Like everyone, or not, I can't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of people want to get like see success right away. And I think like nowadays, like when I watch YouTube, I'm not gonna lie, like when I watch like YouTube videos of like YouTubers killing it, making money on e-commerce, job shipping, Amazon, I'm like, damn, like these guys are killing it. And subconsciously, I'm like, damn, like these guys are out here winning. And I sometimes feel like a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. But then I realize
Yeah.
like these guys they're killing it. They're killing it for a reason. And you gotta work on your craft. and you got to build long term to like reach that point, whatever craft that is. Either that's like, you know, a profession, a professional profession, or a job, or like entrepreneurship, whatever. It can go for anything. You got to put in the
Yeah.
time, effort, and then over a long period of time, you can see that success. You know,
Oh,
a
definitely,
lot
dude.
of
Like
people just
that.
want to see that right now. Like they're really impatient, and I think they can kind of like get anxious about like, you know, not making money.
Yeah.
You know.
Most definitely. That's the, I mean, that's the, like everyone, that's why you see all these courses promoting a get rich quick scheme. Like, well, that's why they're selling it, you know, because like everyone's like, follow me, I'll teach you how to get rich quick. But it doesn't work that way, you know, like unless you're like super lucky, it doesn't work that way. And like one of the reasons I came on this podcast was like I went through like your Spotify and I was like, damn, this guy consistently is uploading. There's not like I don't care about the numbers more than the consistency because like if you're consistent, dude, you can you can kill it in any business. You know,
Oh yeah,
one
for sure.
is yeah, one is consistency and two is being open minded. You know, like if something isn't working, just go somewhere else. Like for me, like Facebook ads weren't working for the longest time, so I tried influencer marketing and that worked pretty well for me. And now I'm just focusing on a hybrid between those two.
Yo, so the hybrid between Facebook and which one?
Influencer marketing.
Influencer marketing. Yeah, I think, yeah, there's so many ways that you can kind of like there's so many like strategies for like paid advertisements, you know, influencer marketing, Facebook, Instagram, like I don't know, pay per click ads, or if you can like click funnels. Like there's so many things that you can do, and I think depending on what your business is, like you have to like test almost everything, and then again, you have to either spend or like invest a lot of money in those things, or kind of really learn it, because that's
Yeah.
gonna take a lot more time, you know, to really learn it yourself, and then, you know, spend the money on those ads. So definitely, I think you have to test, because if Facebook ads don't work, then maybe like ClickFunnels will, and some
No,
that's
but the thing is, once if you're good at Facebook ads, you automatically know that you have to test everything. Because if you're a dropshipper, or not even a dropshipper, if you're like a serious media buyer that wants to make like serious money, you have to test like 15,000 things before. So the biggest advice I can give people when they're starting out Facebook ads is spend less and test more. So what you can do that by understanding the data and how to basically analyze the data and then how to make decisions from that. Uh, just don't. So the thing is, a lot of dropshippers rely on their intuition or their personal opinions. Don't bring your personal opinions into this, especially if you're not experienced, because you might think a product's going to work or you might think an ad's working, but it's not actually working. Just follow the data. The data is where the money's at. Like people will tell you what they want to buy and how they want to buy, what kind of experience they want. You just have to listen to them and uh, pivot according to that.
yeah.
So my biggest piece of advice is, don't spend too much money testing. What I usually do now is like I'll spend maybe $300 or $400 total, just like testing my ads, my landing page, my copywriting, all of these things, and then once I'm ready, I'll scale it. When I first started, the problem is like a lot of people. Um, this is true, but this isn't as true as people say. Facebook ads is a lot more consistent at bigger budgets. But if you're not making money at smaller budgets, there's no reason for you to scale up. So what I did was I was breaking even at like, $200 a day. So I would scale it up to $1,000 a day because I thought, Facebook ads would be more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is like you can't really do that because Facebook ads will show you to the same customers, and if you can sell those customers at a smaller daily ad spend, you can scale that up, but not vice versa. Because then you're gonna lose a lot of money, and then you're gonna be like, yeah, I ran out. So what I do now is like I use a lot of common sense, but at the same time, I spend just enough to make the right decision by looking at the data, and I spend maybe like $150 just to test multiple ads, and then another $200 or $300 just to test multiple audiences. And then once I found a winner, I'll scale it up. If not, then I'll just move on to another product.
Mm-hmm.
That's for drop shipping. But if you want to build a brand, you have to learn that stuff, especially if you're using like paid media, not just influencer marketing. You have to learn that stuff because you have a product, you've made it, you've invested a lot of money into getting the stock, so you have to make it work. So that's why I wanted to like be good at drop shipping first, and then move to like starting a brand because there's a lot more risk involved in like
Yeah.
starting a brand with like actual stock.
So if you were to like say meet your younger self of like that day in college, spring break, and the younger self is like, yeah, I want to. He talks to you, and like, yeah, I want to start dropshipping, and you have the knowledge that you have right now. Like, what would you tell
Sure.
your younger self? Like, what key pieces of advice would you tell him to like start dropshipping and at least see some success maybe a bit earlier?
I mean, I just told you. I would just tell them like just test on a much smaller budget, and
Hmm.
if you're profitable, then scale it up.
Okay.
Like don't spend way more than you have to. Don't spend way more than you have to test. Like uh, if you're a Facebook guy, you're gonna know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But
Because if you scale it up,
but like it really depends on the product though, because like I don't know if you're selling like because like I think your cosmetics product that was perfect for Facebook between 25
yeah.
and to 50. But if you're not using, if you have like a product that's more geared towards like the younger audience, then you're gonna have to focus on probably like Instagram ads or maybe even like TikTok because I feel like a lot of like businesses they're making a lot of money through the organic reach of TikTok. So maybe you have to like shift your focus on different strategies.
Yeah, again, the thing is like, yeah, that's true. So I would recommend is, focusing on one platform. There's the problem with TikTok and Snapchat is I've ran ads on them and I know how to scale them because of my prior knowledge from Facebook. Because a
Hmm.
lot of these platforms work similarly. But the thing is, there's not a lot of content available for learning TikTok and Snapchat ads versus like Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So that's why I recommend people start with Facebook. When I say Facebook ads, I mean Facebook slash Instagram ads.
Okay.
Like I'm not saying just Facebook
Yeah. Yeah.
alone. So Facebook ads is a much better place to start, especially if you want to learn it. It's a lot more complicated. Like it's a complicated beast that takes a lot of money to learn. But it's much better than these other platforms because there's not a lot of information and guidance. But once you learn Facebook ads, you can replicate it on all these other platforms. So all of the knowledge I got from my Facebook ads, I'm replicating it on my Instagram, not my Instagram, my TikTok and Snapchat ads.
Hmm. And how important is it to have like a really like the structure of your homepage or the structure of like your e-commerce site? Like I feel like that can be really important for the conversions. Like is that something that you kind of really tested out as well to see okay, this home site or this
Yeah.
shop link works a lot better than before? Is that something that you did?
Yeah. So what I did was if you're strictly relying on Facebook, so the thing is how Facebook works is you put a you put a link in the ad and people click that link and they land on the page and it's more of an impulse buy. Like if they want to buy it on the spot, they're gonna buy it. If not, it's it's not likely that they're gonna come back, especially for a dropshipper. Like if you want to build a brand, the real money is where you you give the existing customer a very good experience and you ask them to come back. That's what we're experimenting right now. We're actually working on recurring revenue where the customer buys like a subscription and they pay us like every month.
Okay.
So that's how you scale. But as a drop shipper, right, you don't need to focus on your home page that much. Because the thing is, if you're drop shipping, it's like 99% of people that come to your website aren't even going to see the homepage,
Mm,
right? So if you spend like 5 hours just perfecting your homepage versus learning more about Facebook ads and learning more about building good creatives. Creative means the ads itself. So you're gonna waste time. But again, you learn from everything. Even if you do like stuff that doesn't matter, you learn from it. Like when I built these stores, I used to focus on the homepage, but now I know how to correctly brand a store, how
yeah.
to convince a customer to buy. All these things I learned from that. So it's nothing is actually a waste of time as long as you keep learning.
What do you think is more challenging? Like finding the product that you think is gonna actually sell. Like you do your
Yeah.
research, do your homework, and say, okay, this product has the potential to make me a lot of money. Or is it learning the Facebook ads and the targeting?
I think those go hand in hand because you know there are people that are selling literal like sacks of wheat. Like if there's a demand, there's gonna be people who buy.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know, you need to have some understanding of what sells on Facebook and what's an impulse buy. Like it's not. what sells on Facebook in general, but like what's an impulse buy? People come to your site and they're going to see it for the first time and they're going to buy it. But the thing is, they go hand in hand because a lot of people think those two are separate things, but you have to understand like Facebook is just a way of showing your ads to the customer. And if you can do that in the most efficient way possible, and then you can convince the customer to buy from you really quickly and spend a lot of money on your website, you're going to be more profitable on Facebook too, because Facebook looks at your conversion rates. They look at how much time people spend on your website.
Yeah.
They look at how good your ad is. So I would say Facebook is easy if you focus on the branding first. Like there have been stores where we just launch a small campaign and they do like crazy ROAS because we focused on exactly who our customer is and we've designed the page and the ads to sell the product to them. We don't focus on everyone. We understand our our main customers and then we sell it to them. But then again, it's like a feedback loop, right? If you have a bad product page, there's going to be a lot of people that come to your website. They're not going to buy it, and it's not going to give Facebook the right kind of data as to who your customers are. And so when Facebook is finding more customers, they're going to find people that aren't as likely to convert because your landing page doesn't convert them.
Yeah.
So the more sales you have at the start, the better data you get, and the more scalable a product gets. So you have to focus on both things. But once we scale it to like maybe $5,000 a day in ad spend, what we do is we actually turn off all the bad campaigns, and what we do is we just let Facebook's AI do the whole searching and finding our customers. So what we do is basically we just have a broad campaign. If we're targeting US and Canada, we're just going to drop US and Canada. We're not going to change the age. We're not going to change the demographic, nothing. So we just leave it as a broad campaign. And then Facebook does all the work for us because, Facebook knows what kind of customers are going to buy. And we have the landing page to convert those customers and give Facebook the signals it needs to, find us more of those.
Yeah.
So at larger scale, you have to simplify the account. It's like when you're at a big scale, it's not about Facebook ads gymnastics anymore. You don't have to have like crazy rules. You don't have to have like crazy campaigns. You just focus on your branding and your ads. That's it. Like a lot of people are thinking, you can apply the same strategies as you would in 2017 and 2020, but it's not going to work because Facebook is a lot smarter now.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think one should mark up their product? So for example, like I feel there's going to be a whole bunch of fees and things you have to pay. So for example,
Yeah.
the Stripe, I think you said 3%, or like Shopify, they take a certain percentage. The cost of like shipping the actual item from Alibaba, for example, to your customer, unless they pay for the shipping. I feel like there's a lot of like small things that add up that you have to like increment the cost of your product. So where do you think like should be the cost of your product? Should you market it like 10x, 8x, so you can get like a nice profit margin, or what?
So it just depends on the cost of your product. And there's another thing, it's called the perceived value, like how much someone is willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's like something small, like a chain, right? And then you present it in a way where people are like, wow, this is like the greatest chain ever, right? You present it on your website as that. You can sell it for like $30, but you can buy it for $3, right? But if it's something more expensive, let's say the product cost is $15, we usually price it 3 times, like 3x. And the thing is, we might test between 2.5 times and 3 times because the lower your price, the more customers you have. That's like basic economics, price sensitivity. And then if it's like a more like a cheaper product, then you price it a bit higher just to cover like the Facebook ads fees.
Okay. So what are like other things that you've learned along the way that were like, oh damn, like this really would have helped me out if I knew like earlier, like
Yeah.
not like essential things, but like things that not like a lot of beginners or a lot of like YouTubers don't really talk about on their channels for beginners to really like, you know?
Yeah, so this is gonna be like a golden nugget for everyone that's watching. Don't mimic other dropshippers. Mimic like actual brands that are doing crazy numbers. Because the only difference between the actual brands and you is where you're getting your products from, or not even where you're getting your products from, because they get it from China too. But the thing is, they're shipping it from their warehouses while you're shipping it directly from China. But that shouldn't really impact anything else. So if you follow how they're presenting their product, how they're guiding the customer through a journey, on their website, that you convince the product. I mean, it just depends on your niche, right? So if you're selling a product in the medical niche, I would look at some competitors for your product that are actual brands, because they've tested things over multiple millions of dollars or multiple thousands of dollars. And if you replicate that and improve it according to your product, you're gonna not have to spend that money. Because a lot of people, they pay for really good copywriting, they pay for really good imagery. They're not doing that for nothing. If they're paying for something, they're making money off of it. So if you look at these brands that are making crazy amounts of money, and you see, how they're selling the product to their customer, and you replicate that in a dropshipping store. And the second thing is, you have to have a low level of saturation. Like, I don't believe in saturation that much, but if every dropshipper is selling a product, there's going to be people that are pissed off about it, because there are some dropshippers that send it through like snail mail, and it takes like 60 days to ship it to the customer. So they're going to be pissed off at your brand, and they are potential customers, but they've bought it and had a bad experience. They're not going to buy it again. So that's why I don't like saturated markets. But if you want to test a new product, look at your competitors, and learn from them, because that's basically a gold mine of information right there, without you having to like do any extra market research and all that.
Yeah. And how bad or how annoying is the customer service? If you're making a ton of sales, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to want returns or not satisfied with their product for whatever reason. Like,
Yeah.
customer service can be a headache. Is that true in your case?
I mean, the thing is, like, for me, I've learned that there's two things. One is ethics, and second is consistency. Like, if you want your business to be consistent, you have to be ethical in business, right? Which means so what we do is we vet the quality of the product. We look at, even if we don't have the product in hand, you can look at the Amazon reviews, and you can see that the product is, a good product, right? Because a lot of these products on Amazon are from the same suppliers that you get your stuff from. So what we do is we vet the product beforehand, and if the reviews are legit, and if they're highly rated, we know there's going to be a lesser chance of returns. So we usually take that into consideration before running a product. And if we scale it up, and there's usually not a lot of chargebacks and all that, because I've trained all of my customer reps to give my customers the best experience possible. So even in our dropshipping stores, we have a lot of customers that come back and buy our products again, even though it takes maybe like 10 to 15 days for us to ship from China, or 4 days for us to ship from the USA. So it just depends on how you do business. At the start, there's a lot of things for a dropshipper to focus on, so they don't focus on customer service. But that's important too, because sometimes we have live chats where customers come and ask their questions, and we answer it for them, and that leads to another sale. So every sale helps at the start, especially if you're just starting out. So make sure you give the customers a good experience, and choose products that are less likely to be returned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I see like you're killing it on TikTok, giving a lot of golden nuggets, giving a lot of value.
Yeah.
I think that you'd like to expand on that and like make uh, an entire like YouTube channel around like advice or like your journey through e-commerce and drop shipping. Is
I
that something?
mean, yeah, dude. Like, honestly, I've thought about that a lot. Like, there came a time where I recorded a bunch of videos, but I never got to editing them,
Uh,
because I just didn't have the time to do it. So
yeah,
the thing about TikTok is, like, I just get tired of like working for like 2 or 3 hours, and I just pick up my phone and make a video, right?
yeah,
It's
something.
not that big of a deal. But for YouTube videos, they're more long form. You have to prepare for them, and again, dropping knowledge bombs is important. And in the long term, once I'm at the point in my business where I can, do that with my spare time, I'll definitely do it. But right now, I'm just, sticking to TikTok, just to, help the people,
Oh, yeah,
guide them, but at the same time, it doesn't take much of my time, because there's a lot to learn. Even
definitely.
at any stage, there's a lot to learn.
Thing yeah, with business, like you got to be, I know, be in charge of like customer service, the branding, the marketing, the ads. I know
Hmm.
you focus a lot on the website, like making the actual site itself.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I think like If you do it all yourself, then it's gonna take time for it to really grow. And then as you
Right.
scale, you can have a team, hire VAs, you know, to really like help you and expand the business and make more money down the in the long term, right? So in in that case, like where can like people like find you, hit you up, learn more about dropshipping, more about your entrepreneurial journey? If you're talking about that on your social media platforms, like where can people find you?
So I mean, I drop a lot of like beginner info on TikTok because that's where a lot of my demographic lies. Like I can't be dropping like super complicated facts on TikTok because like nobody's gonna understand them because they're not in the right mindset. But you just tell them that there's a business model that exists because a lot of the entrepreneurs are starting or they want to start something and they don't know what to do, right? So for me, I think a TikTok is a good way to you know connect with me. And then I have an Instagram too. But the thing is, like, a lot of the people that message me on Instagram, they're like, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm a hard worker, but I don't know how to start a Shopify store, right? And I always tell them, I'm like, just drop specific questions and I'll get back to you on them. Like, I like when people ask me like super specific questions where I can give them a detailed answer, something you can't find on YouTube. Like, if you tell me you're a hard worker and then you can't do a simple Google search on how to open a Shopify store, that's just not going to work for me. Like, I get those kind of messages, hundreds of those, like every day. So what I tell them is, when you have a question, just drop like a specific one where you're stuck at and you can't find any resources on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be there to, assist you. Like I don't mind doing that. It takes like 2 seconds of my time. So a good way to reach me is on Instagram because that's, it's a bit more low key than my TikTok
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of notifications that come through on TikTok.
So TikTok, and then TikTok is where you give a lot of value, and then on Instagram is where you like kind of like message your, I guess your followers to give like more tactical advice if they ask the right questions, obviously.
Right, right, yeah. So that's where like, I'm not spammed as much as I am on TikTok. Like I've started doing this thing where I reply to all comments for 24 hours on TikTok. That allows me to get back to everyone, but at the same time, like it doesn't, bind me to giving everyone an answer, because like it takes time. Like even if you're typing up an answer and you're, that multiplies like it takes 5 seconds, but then you multiply that by like 50 or 100 times,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time. So what I do is, I tell them if they have a question, just reach out to me on Instagram, and that's where if they have a good question, right, I'll be sure to answer them.
I think like you're doing like you're definitely like a busy guy, killing it. You're still in school, right? And you're doing like working on your personal brand with TikTok, answering all these questions, and of course working on your businesses as well, right?
Yeah. So again, I'm trying to be as productive as I can while still like having fun. So TikTok is a way for me to release. Like it doesn't take that much like energy for me to make TikTok videos, and it's a good way to like connect with people. Uh, but apart from that, yeah. So I'm running my businesses. But the thing is, like I've outsourced a lot of it. Like the thing is, like outsourcing is a lifesaver. A lot of people are scared to outsource because they think, there's no one that's going to be better than them on doing that task, like a VA or a customer service. But the thing is, you can never scale up if you don't outsource, if you don't, save your time, because you as a business owner, you have to be making the big decisions, right? But if you're like busy with all these menial tasks that anybody from the Philippines or anybody from somewhere else can do for you for like $5 an hour, you're wasting a lot of time and you're wasting a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you're not allowing yourself to scale. So for me, taking a big step was hiring my first VA, and then I hired a graphic designer because even though I was like pretty decent and good at Photoshop and Premiere and all that, it just took a lot of my energy, and frankly, I didn't like doing it. Like I automate all the boring things so I can be more excited to learn every day.
Yeah. One person can only do so much. You can't really scale long term with only one guy, even if you're extremely good at everything. Let's be real. But time is the most valuable asset for any person, any entrepreneur specifically. You got to diversify your portfolio with people who can help you and grow your businesses, I think. I think that's
Right, right. So
great.
a good way to think of it is, if there's someone that can do the same thing 70% as good as you, just hire them. Like 70% can be trained up to 100%, but any less than that is a bit hard to train because they don't possess the skills. So for me, when I hired my graphics designer, he was much better at doing this than I was, and he saved me time. So that was like a win-win for me, And I got to test a lot more products. I got to learn a lot more, and I just got to speed up the process of me scaling up, and me testing out new products and finding new winners, and even focus on my brand more.
Yeah. Wait, do you hire um these VAs and graphic designers through Fiverr and Upwork?
No, so Fiverr and Upwork are pretty mainstream, and I mean Upwork is decent, but the thing is, you can find a lot of quality talent on this website called onlinejobs.ph. So
Okay.
it's a Filipino outsourced website, and the thing about Filipino people is like one, they're really skilled, and two, they can speak really good English because the Philippines was like a British colony or something. So that their education level is pretty good. Their English speaking skills are very good, and they possess the skills necessary. A lot of them are actually like when you drop your job request, a lot of them are ex like e-commerce workers, so they have an idea of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
They don't require much training. And the second thing is it's cheaper than Upwork because Upwork is like $7 an hour, but you can find a decent VA on online jobs for like $4 an hour, $5 an hour.
I was gonna say because like I think on Upwork and Fiverr, say you want to hire your VA or graphic designer, right? I think
Yeah,
of course Fiverr and Upwork need to get their commission, so the money going into the pockets of those freelancers is gonna be less, right? And if you were to message them, be like, hey, let's get out of Fiverr, I'll pay you directly through, say, for example, PayPal or whatever, you're gonna get in trouble because Fiverr knows that if you try to like get outside of their platform, you'll get in trouble. That happened to me
yeah,
twice already. And so of
really,
course, if you want, yeah, of course you want to like not do that. You want to save money because if you can save like $3 an hour, for example, uh, the money that Fiverr is taking away from you or your freelancer, like you're both gonna like save money. And of course,
yeah. Upwork is like 20% commission, which is like crazy. I
yeah,
think for online jobs, there is a caveat. So it's $69 a month for you, or 67. Yeah, $67 a month for you as the business owner. You have to get like a membership. But the thing is, what I do is I buy the membership and then I hire everyone that I need to. It's like for a month. You can only post if you have a membership.
mm-hmm.
And once you post, then you can cancel your membership again. So you
Yeah,
find quality VAs for
yeah.
$67 an hour or a month.
And one final question, like what other resources do you use, like say like books, podcasts, YouTubers, or like I don't know, like online tools, like plugins that you use on Shopify that you think are really kind of essential nowadays for like drop shipping and whatnot?
For drop shipping, like I look at, I follow all these, people that are, doing big numbers already with their own brands, because they're basically doing. You have to understand that they're basically doing the same thing as every drop shipper is doing, but they're doing it on a much bigger scale. And the only difference between a drop shipper and them is the way of sending the product to the customer. Like there's no difference between these brands. So if you replicate these things that have been mastered over like 5 or 6 years, or like not 5 or 6 years, like 50 or 60 years of sales tactics, and you put them in your store and you learn from them instead of gurus that figure this stuff out as they go, you can learn a lot more from it and you can really speed up your results. So if people understand that, the real resources are people that are managing crazy brands, like let's look at Ben Francis, who is running Gymshark. Let's look at Ezra Firestone. He's the owner of Zipify, and his own brand, that does like crazy numbers. And there's like a lot of e-commerce people that are doing insane numbers, but they're pretty low key. And you can find their resources. You're set. Like you're set. You can just replicate that in your stores, and you can reap the rewards while nobody else in the dropshipping sphere is doing it.
For sure. I think that's a good strategy. Like you said before, don't copy the gurus, copy the brands that are killing it. You know, kind
Yeah,
of.
because they're making a lot more money than the gurus, and you can tell. Like just
Yeah,
look at their pay stubs.
for sure, man. So yeah, but so I think you provide a lot of value today, and I hope that a lot of people who are listening to the podcast will hit you up on or see your content on TikTok and then ask you any specific questions if they're into dropshipping and e-commerce. To hit you up on IG. So Basil, I really appreciate your time here, bro, and have a good one. All right.
For sure, bro.